Hello, this is Edna White, and I am so glad you're with me today. Today, we're going to talk about learning how to identify our own limiting beliefs around family, around money, around business, around mental health. So, we're going to learn about that today because we need to identify what's going on with us so that we ourselves can be able to move forward in life. And let me just tell you, limiting beliefs actually stop you from growing in your life, whether it be simple as this, that you never have taken a plane before, right? And it limits your belief that you are going to crash or whatever if you get on a plane, and it limits your knowledge and your growth in just knowing the world. So we're going to talk about what a limiting belief is, and then we're also going to start to delve into what it does for you and how it affects you. So let's talk about identifying that. And I thank you all because you could be doing something else at your lunchtime, but you're with me today. And I thank you. And if you have any comments or any questions, put them in the section below and I'll be glad to answer them. If we think about our earliest childhood memories, and I always talk about this, is when you're 5, you're fearless, right? Your curiosity is great and you don't have any fear about anything. As you begin to get older, you're kind of inundated with this unending list of don't do's, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And you're starting to now create beliefs from that unending list. What I'm going to help you realize is that you have a full potential. If you just get back to that exploratory and curious and creative side of the 5-year-old and that imaginative side of that 5-year-old. Yes, you have to live by rules and it's important that you do, but when there's rules that are not arbitrarily fixed on facts, it holds you back from living a full life. So if you want to attain greater heights, but you're standing in your own way, this is the place to be, to learn how to move forward, learn how to see beyond where you're sitting, and get rid of those limiting beliefs. So what are limiting beliefs? It's statements, like I said earlier, I've never taken a plane, I'll always be a Baptist. Those type of things are like that, like limiting beliefs. Or I'm not good at math. I have 2 left feet and I'll never be good at dancing. I will always struggle. All those are false and they don't help you move forward. If anything, it helps you stay in the corner. It helps you stay blocked off and have a limited state of mind and those convictions and those misbeliefs that you think are true. And they're probably not grounded in anything that's factual, but it's actually grounded in fear and passed on to you. Because if a 5-year-old heard that and their mother said, don't play in that mud, guess what they're going to do? They're going to find out why that she's saying that, what it feels like, and they're going to go for the gusto and be imaginative with it. I remember making mud pies, and literally trying to eat them sometimes, and feeding them to my brothers and sister, So it's really imaginative time. When you're not limited, you can have so much choice, so many choices and so many opportunities. Limiting beliefs have a number of negative effects on you. This could help you stop making great choices, making bad choices, not taking on new opportunities when you see them, when you feel them, when you know them, when they're presented, reaching your potential. You ever feel like there's something bubbling up and it's been bubbling for years? Well, if you're cooking on a stove and something's bubbling over, right? You turn it immediately off, right? That kind of means it's almost cooked, correct? But if it's bubbling for years, it's probably overcooked because you're limiting yourself. And your limiting beliefs are keeping you in that box, therefore not letting you grow. So that feeling that there's more to everything is the indicator that you're hindering your own living and your own true self. So what causes it? What causes limiting beliefs? Does anyone know what causes it? Can get a comment below? Does anyone know what causes those limiting beliefs? You can put it in the comments if you like. Oh, wait a couple of seconds. Okay, so what causes them is fear, okay? A lot of what causes those limiting beliefs is a lot of fear. And fear is kind of generated from a pathology of generational patterns, okay? And you may argue about how it comes about, but it comes from your brain not being wired to be open-minded, to be open to other avenues of just knowledge and information, because that's all it really is. And then you have to decipher, is it good for you? Forget about it being good for your mother, your father, your cousins, your aunts, your great-grandmother, your next generation. Is it good for you? And if that information that you're getting can give you a bias or an inability to have an open mind. So let that resonate for a few minutes. So where did it come from? Family beliefs. It comes familial ideas, just morals and something they've tried or didn't try that thought they could pass it down to you. And so you end up forming your own limiting belief. You end up thinking and reinforcing that belief in your own head, never challenging it. So something as simple as, I've never taken a train and never taken a plane, and I'll drive everywhere I want. I'm not getting in it because it's gonna crash or something like that. Just a belief like that can shrink your knowledge, shrink your exposure to people. Where we live, that little circle, a little bubble that we live in is not the where all be all. Familial beliefs and ideas impact us. The other one is education. Education plays a major role in limiting beliefs. Whether you're learning from your family, friends, teachers, it impacts how you adopt or what you adopt as truth. It puts you in a position of authority, and that information that's disseminated from the authority forms an idea or belief for you. So when you're learning from authority figures that you respect, you're even more inclined to conclude that things they tell you are true. Education, and that goes for family, teachers of the spiritual and natural realm, and friends. That you explore everything that's spoken to you. Challenge it, because that's what life is all about, is a challenge. Then you have your experiences. When you have a bad experience, let's just say you have a bad experience with a relationship. You may have said it, that I'm never going to have a relationship like this again, or I'm never going to have a relationship, or men or this, or women are this, or whatever you may have decided. and you're never falling in love again, you're heartbroken and you don't want to go through this pain again, well, you limited your love, your partnership to the experience, to the negative part of the experience. And that strongly shapes your limiting belief. So it's important to remember that the conclusions you come to after a bad experience are only valid temporarily, not for eternity. Okay? So turning that off, you have to turn that experience off because that was temporary and that was that situation. That's why so many people take baggage into the next relationship or don't have relationships because they've already agreed to the experience and they're going to take it through with them for the rest of their lives. So how do you identify your limiting beliefs? How do you do that? Now, one of the tricks that I've done is when I strongly, believe something, I would write it down. Okay. And whether it be especially about finances, especially about families, especially about relationships, and especially about health, I would write it down. I put those groups down. And then what is my belief about that? What have I adopted from any of those things that I just spoke about? What have I concluded? What have I took on that I don't have those good things? Because when you don't have those good things, those good, healthy relationships, good health, great finances, or at least in order, and family relationships, family dynamics, even when there is someone that's in your family that you just can't get along with, there's no animosity. So when you are together, it's civil. You have to get to that point. When you don't have that, you have to start asking yourself, what limited belief do I believe that's not going well? So you have to identify it and write it down. So once you've done this, out of those categories, once you've done this, examine which ones are helping you. And if they're not helping you, make sure you put a negative next to it. And because you're not going to grow from it. And which ones could be limiting you, make sure you put a negative next to it. Because you want to grow. The object of being human, coming down here in this body, this life on this earth, is to experience life and to jump over the hurdles to get a great life. It's not about struggle. It's not about conditions. It's about jumping over those hurdles and exceeding where you are in life and not having limits. Now, the second thing to do is assess your behavior. Another approach you can identify your limiting beliefs would to be assess your behavior. So think about the scenario, why you're acting negative or toxic ways. And let's get it together. Yes, you're acting a certain type of way and you're behaving a certain type of way. That's the way it is. You're not having something because you're doing something that is limiting what your outcome is. So it's a behavior. So the negative or the toxic way that you're approaching something is not conducive to your life and it's not letting you grow. So if you look closely at that toxic behavior, so let's take money. And I'll take my experience as a young girl. I used to work. And in my area, I used to go around turning lights on for those who were Jewish on Friday and Saturdays, right? Doing things for them on Fridays. So they would give me $1. So I would wash the $1, right? And I would always say, it's so dirty. Now, I didn't know at the time, but in my head, would anyone want to use something that was so dirty? Probably not. And I know to be true, what I would do is stock the money under my bed and never use it. So my under my mattress was all these clean dollars, which were ironed, and it limited my ability to do things or to assess things or to have things or venture out because I thought money was dirty. So just in that behavior, I had to turn that off as I got older. I was like, wait a minute, it's not the money that's just a tangible source. Money is an energy, so it can come from someone with value that's giving you something of value. It can come to you that way. It can come just free things, from people that think that you're value. Money is not the item that we look at. It's the energy that comes with giving and receiving. So assess that behavior that you have. Okay, if you find it difficult, okay, another instance, if you find it difficult to speak what's on your mind to someone who has offended you, right? You may possess the limiting belief that there's conflict. You don't like conflict, and it's bad, right? Passive aggressive, horrible way to be. This, in turn, could help you keep you from having a truly intimate relationship and be unable to speak your mind or have a healthy confrontation. So assess how your behavior is. 3, write down areas where you feel challenged. If you've noticed that you have a reoccurring challenge in certain areas in your life, like money, okay, like relationships, going on dates, write that down, because there could be a limiting belief in that. Perhaps you can't seem to land that well-paying job, or you could never have the luck when it comes to love, just initiating a date. These are challenges. And they're simply put, they're byproducts of erroneous beliefs that you've adopted as truths. Now, as you go through each of these challenges, write them down. Also make a note of which one of these beliefs pertain to the challenge. So if you're always struggling to make enough money, uncover what you think about money and how to assess it to be able to work for you. Now, I know that that is a lot of information that you have to work on. That's your field's work. That's something that you need to work on, your inner work that you need to work on. But you always have to have ways to overcome limiting beliefs, because the limiting beliefs have power and it's immediate, it's right away. So you're always going to have to commit to be self-aware as much as possible, okay? Because a limiting belief could have a trigger that it just happens automatically, and you have to have the power to change it anytime. So how do you do that? Now, one of them being, believe it or not, it's in the environment. It can help your belief. It can help your belief system. Having a well-organized and spacious environment could improve your mental health and encourage positive thinking. A few of my clients have always, a few of them, we work on tidying their environment, their space, whether it be a workspace, which mine has to be worked on right now, or whether it be your home environment, decluttering. Because I always say what you see around you is what's happening in here. Okay? And what's accumulated at home is always what's happening in here and what's going on. So you could even go as far as redesigning and improving your flow in your environment. I consider feng shui when I do a lot of what I do, if it's possible within the make of wherever I'm living. Another great one I love is minimalism. Minimalism. Embrace minimalism. I learned that from when I lived in China. I learned to minimize, because a false belief of having so much of everything only does one thing, is hold you back, because then you're always systematically thinking, oh, I need this, I need that. And then there's no clarity because you're not honest, and you're attached to many things, material things. So now you're not clear. You're not clearly thinking, and you're not making great choices because of your attachment and your dishonesty to those material things. So get addicted to decluttering your wardrobe. I have a habit of, each season that goes by, what I didn't wear, and I pull it out and I give it away if it's usable to the next person. Every season, once season ends, I do that. I didn't wear this season, so it gotta go. And anything that didn't look great, gotta go. I'm not gonna fit in it again, gotta go, no matter what the situation is. Give it away or minimize. You know, there's a limiting belief around fashion. I'm not attractive unless I'm wearing the latest fashions. And we see that all over social media, right? We see it all over, wearing this and wearing that. Well, I always feel I'm wearing what's comfortable for me. And I'm going to be comfortable, whether it be heels or sneakers. I think I'm past the because I want to be mindful and what's good for me, what's good on me and for me. So I'm being mindful of that. So I've gotten rid of a lot of limiting beliefs around stuff. Another one is try to explore more. Explore your limiting beliefs. Stop being so closed-minded. Open your mind up. Learn to be curious about things. When I was learning about other religions, once I came out of one religion, I would stop into, mosques, and when it was possible, and learn. I just say I want to learn. Not that I was going to take on anything, but be curious and be likely to explore the world. Break your comfort zone. Break out of it. Break that glass ceiling. Expand your mind and make yourself challenge your own beliefs. Curiosity is what the 5-year-old believes. It also creates opportunities for you to learn about other people's beliefs and observe new ideas. Some ways to explore is have a conversation. We just had a conversation on Saturday, being the only Black woman in the room, and I had great reviews from that, having a male there, a white male there, having, a Black woman there, having a white woman there, having that conversation around it. Have an open mind. Challenge your belief system. Have a conversation with people from different backgrounds than you. And traveling is another way to effectively just really give yourself a chance to engage with different cultures and ways of life. I did that, and I do that often. I don't like to really go to resorts all the time because I want to be able to enjoy the cultures that I, really go to visit different countries. I want to explore the culture and their ways of life. I want to experience the foods. I just don't want to eat what Americans eat, So open your mind to all of that. The other one is to get the counseling or the coaching that you need. Sometimes those limiting beliefs you're struggling with are triggers, and they're conditions that now not only have you adopted the pattern, now you have the habit. And the habit now creates anxiety, and then along the way it will create depression because now you've taken on things that you have created traces of limiting beliefs throughout your life, and you can't seem to get over them. So it's good to work with somebody on cognitive behavior, why you're doing what you're doing, and getting the services that you need to make things easier, to change your life from these anxiety triggers, the emotional states, and let it progress over time. Another one of my favorites is meditation. You know, I love it. And by the way, Mondays are meditation days. So look for things about meditation. And please, there will be meditation videos, there will be meditation messages. Make sure that you connect with that and let me know what your feedback is. Meditation helps calm your mind. Now, it's not about not listening to your mind. It's not about that. It's being aware of your inner self, being aware of how your head is cluttered, and getting the clarity that you can unclutter your head and focus on positive beliefs that you've adopted. And you want to unhabit those things. So meditation is another way. The other one is what you're doing right now. Personal development is getting guidance on your thinking and your choices that you've made, and work on yourself. This means what you're doing now, again, seeking the opportunities to develop and grow in all aspects of your life. So self-improvement is very important. It's what you need to do to help you overcome your weaknesses. It requires not just reading and eating everything up, but the action. It forces you to do something about your limiting beliefs. And it's not going to happen overnight like magic. It's an action that you have to do. So it takes reading books by authors who can share those kinds of beliefs and then have a reconciliation or a solution, not just to tell you all about it and reiterate and regurgitate what you just said, but something that can give you a solution that you can put into action. The same thing with podcasts, practical goals, journaling, And the final thing is, for years, I struggled with low self-esteem, for years. And it came hard for me to establish positive beliefs because, as you all know, my creativity or my imagination was lost as a child. So it was hard for me to muster up the emotions and the positive beliefs in my head. When I started to adopt positive affirmations, which was about maybe 10 years ago, it improved my self-esteem. I had those yellow stickies, blue stickies, whatever they were, different colors all over, in my closet, on my door, when I woke up, on my lamp, in my bathroom, on the kitchen, refrigerator. I bombarded myself with those affirmations so that my limiting beliefs would change. And believe it or not, those affirmations still work to this day, and I changed them over the years, but I really truly use them all the time. And it's that kind of use of positive affirmations that changes your limiting beliefs. Your positive affirmation should also celebrate your strengths. Use your successes and your strengths. Write down affirmations that remind you of just how incredible you are. Not anyone else, but you. This could give you the courage that you need to push yourself and achieve more. I know it did for me. Now, I know this world is full of beliefs, and as long as there's different kinds of people, those different beliefs won't change. However, you've got to figure out which beliefs help you live the life you've always dreamed of. All the beliefs that keep you from living the life that you want are limiting, and the ones that you should get rid of. By doing this, by giving yourself a chance, you create a life that supersedes your expectations. I know it's happening for me. I'm a living witness to that. And if you are committed, if you're ready to commit to that, do it. If you're ready to commit, and you need the framework, I'm here for you. That you want to make a big life change, I'm here for you for the fullest. Okay? I know and I hope that you've learned something from today. I hope that you got a lot of information. And I hope that you continue to work on yourself personally. Listen, also, I wanted to tell you about something that's happening June 15th. And it's an event that I'm having online with Facebook. And it's how to switch from your entrepreneurial mindset, from your employee mindset to your entrepreneurial mindset. And it's going to be phenomenal. So it's June 15th at 7. I'll post it on the comments below. Thank you. Unapologetically made. I can't talk. Thank you. Thank you, Brenda Simmons, for chiming in. And just, I hope that this helped you this time around. And I'll see you next time on Lunchtime Love. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great one.